Good morning, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am fine. Happy Tuesday. So I talked to Jenna about her fire in the Ukraine. She says it's fine. She's okay at her house. So maybe it's a little bit away or it's staying in the woods or something. I don't know. So that's good. Gold 25.76. It's had a moving day. It was 25.86. Down to 25.71 on the London derivatives, and then back to 81, and then back down to 72, and then up to 81. So it's going in this $15 range. Now it's a $10 range, and it should stay right around there the rest of the day. We're hoping for 2600 soon, as I'm sure it will, because anytime you have that big $40, $50 move, you're just now hoping that they don't do the put derivatives or they're shorting them. And I mean, they've been trying, but nothing's happening. So now we're getting ready for another push up. It's just the way it works in the derivative world. In the real world, nobody's selling gold, very little. And like I said, it doesn't matter. If we all bought 100 tons of gold, the price wouldn't move. I think the way it was explained yesterday was like China buying off of COMEX. They're not using COMEX; they're going to the mines. So I think when we go to the coin stores or somebody buys that way, it doesn't register. It's only bought from COMEX and then the derivatives. So it's a really stupid system that hopefully gets blown up soon. All right. So let's look at football. Didn't play the game last night. I let it go. So we have Atlanta wins at the end. I think it was 18-17 or something like that. I don't know. I know they won by one. Whoop. Hey. I'm the worst eater. I always wear it. So Atlanta wins. So now I redid everything. So if we go through the week, all right, Buffalo wins 31-10. New Orleans 44-19. Not a big surprise to me because Dak threw 2 interceptions. Tampa wins 2016. Detroit's not an over team right now. They're an under team. They have no offense. They have no touchdowns. Stafford's Goff's 1 touchdown, 2 picks. So they're not scoring. And look what Arizona did to the Rams. So then you really question the Lions. Green Bay went 16-10. I watched those highlights, and it was just Willis running, and it's a lot of running. They didn't really do much. The guy they got from Oakland, the running back, ran like 30 times, so it's just a running type of game. So they've turned from an over team to an under team. The Jets win 24-17, but almost 24-24. Their defense isn't ready yet. Minnie wins 23-17, but they lose. Who did they lose? They lose. Deebo Samuel got hurt in the game. So these injuries start adding up because you don't do training camp. I mean, it's crazy. And then you've got, let's finish this and then we'll get into that. Seattle wins 23-20 in overtime. So New England, Seattle, we know doesn't have a great defense. New England, um, I don't know. They're playing better. I don't know. They play the Jets Thursday night. San Diego 26-3. Steve Young sucked. And Steve Young ain't starting anymore. They're bringing Andy Dalton in. Finally, why he didn't play last year and why didn't he play Steve Young in the preseason to get him ready? What was that all about? And then he comes out and he says, "Oh, you're going to bench you. We didn't play him in the preseason. You really can't do that. You should have played him in the preseason, saw he sucked, but you should have known he sucked after last year." So they traded the number one pick for a bum. I love it. These GMs are so fucking stupid, aren't they? They don't have a clue. This is why I bitch about preseason. You would have seen that Bryce Young sucks. You should have started Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton's much better. Why? They have a good chance to win now with Andy Dalton. He's a good quarterback. Now he's just stepping in, and you probably didn't give him preseason. The coach needs to go already. Obviously, he's out of he has no idea what he's doing. You're supposed to practice and prepare the team, and not these practices against other team. You need to do a live practice against a preseason game, full speed. They're tackling, they're hitting. You can't worry about the injuries because you just lost your job because now you're 0-2. You just have to bench the number one pick in the draft because that was a big mistake. What are you doing? You guys have no idea. You don't know talent. You have Andy Dalton. Why wasn't he playing all of that? Well, we need to give him time. No, either he can play or not. Justin Herbert, he walked right in, right? All right, Peyton Manning was good, but he needed a year. Brady was the first year a little bit shaky, but you could see they could play. And by the way, Brady won a Super Bowl his first year. That big game against Oakland, the whole thing. I mean, that was his first year. He had it. Aaron Rodgers, he had to sit on the bench, but as soon as you played him, he was good. Jordan Love wasn't that bad. He was bad the first 6-7 weeks, and then he came on last year. Look at Minshew. Minshew's much better than Love, than Bryce Young. Anyway, let me finish this up. Cleveland wins 18-13. The battle of the bums. Watson and Lawrence. Lawrence looks terrible. Baltimore blows a lead. Oakland wins 26-23. Tells me two things. Oakland is a much better offense than we think. So they're a very good team. Baltimore does not have the defense we think. So when you think of Baltimore, you go, "Oh, that's great defense." Now, either they don't, or the stupid not playing in the preseason and saying, "Here you go, turn it on," and these teams can't do it. They're not ready. This is terrible coaching. They're not ready. Cincinnati wasn't ready in week 1. They got themselves ready because they played KC and they don't want to get embarrassed. So this was all on Jamar Chase got the team ready, not the coach. The coach is terrible at Cincinnati. Then you have Caleb. He's not ready. He's getting blitzed and sacked. Like, how many sacks did he get? 5 or 6 times from Houston. He ain't ready. You need to teach him how to read a blitz. He doesn't have a clue. He just stands there and the blitz comes and sacks him. He's all done. All you got to do is blitz him. And every defense can do that. So, I'm not sure they'll win a game. He's there. You got Allen out, and Oduzzi doesn't do anything, and that leaves, which he shouldn't. He's a rookie. And that leaves, all you got to do is cover DJ Moore, and you got him. Okay, double team. Now where do you throw the ball? Anyway, Arizona 41-10 against the Rams. The Rams have a lot of injuries, and Cooper Kupp's now out, and Pukanuka's now out. They don't have receivers now, so it was like there's this There's this little 5'10" guy and a few other guys. But their defense isn't that strong as we thought. And I'll go through all those stats. But Arizona, and now the Lions come in, losing to Tampa, go to Arizona as a favorite. Really? Do you think they're going to win at Arizona? You think they can stop Kyler Murray? There's no fucking way. I mean, this is like a gift from the gods, getting Arizona as a home dog against the Lions, who, oh yeah, they don't have a secondary and they don't have a defense. They give up 400 yards to Tampa. Kyler Murray's going to light them up between him running around and then, oh yeah, Marvin Harrison, and there's another receiver and the running back from Pitt, Connor. And Detroit's not going to have that home crowd yelling so the offense can hear. And, this is going to get ugly. Believe me, Hutchinson, they'll take care of him, and that's all they got. Secondary stinks. They'll just keep throwing the ball to number 0, and they'll keep getting pass interference. Another guy that shouldn't be playing. He's not ready. He doesn't know what he's doing. The excuse of, well, at Alabama, they allowed hand thing. That's bullshit. They don't allow that in college. And then he's doing it. Well, what was preseason? Didn't he learn not to do that in preseason? Oh, wait, you didn't play him in preseason. No, fire the coach. Yeah, he's a great coach. Is he? Really? How many times did he go for it on 4th down? He's still doing the bullshit. And 5, 6, 7 times a game he wants to go. That's a gimmick. That's because the team's not good. Because if you're a good team, you make it on 3 downs, right? Burrow against Mahomes, how many 4th downs do they do? Like 1 maybe? Probably at the end of the game. Then if you're that good, you don't need it. You don't need the fake punts and all that. That's just weak. All right. Pitt 13-6 over Denver. Pitt just shows with Fields, they have no offense, great defense. They're a great under. Denver will bet better with Nix, but there's nothing Nix was going to do against the Steelers. They blitzed them and got all over them. They were down there. I think there was a turnover in the end zone, so they did get to the Pitt goal line. So Nix is coming along. After seeing Pitt this week, they've got who do they got? They're at Tampa. Well, good luck there, but I think he'll have a better game at Tampa than he did against Pitt. I mean, not bad. He did get 20 points the first game, so he's coming along fine. He's much better than Bryce Young already. And Daniels won his first game for Washington. Granted, they beat the Giants, but see, that's the difference. They right away, they get it, right? And here's, Fields doesn't get it, and Bryce Young doesn't get it, and Caleb doesn't get it. He still won't get it. He doesn't get it. Cincinnati, KC, 26-25. Cincinnati played like Cincinnati. Good offense. Hard to stop Burrow. Chase. Much better defense. Hendrickson. Their defensive end had like 2 sacks and 2 rushes and caused a couple of holding penalties. So, Cincinnati's back. KC, not bad. KC's defense isn't as strong as they've been, but Pacheco's out now. We're going to go through those injuries in a minute. The Bears, Houston wins 19-13, 5, 6 sacks on Caleb. The Bears have a good defense. They're going to be an under team. They're not going to score, and the defense looks fairly good. Again, the pick of Romo Doozy in the first round was ridiculous. You already had CJ Moore or DJ Moore, and then you picked up Keenan Allen. What do you need Romo Doozy for in the first round? And that's ridiculous. Especially as many good receivers are out there that you could probably get as a free agent. What are you doing? Look at the guy from Cincinnati, Awisi, or whatever his name is, the guy from Princeton who caught the touchdown pass, the Hawaiian guy. He was free agent. I mean, that's all you need. You don't need to waste a first-round pick on a wide receiver when you have 2 number one receivers already. That was a terrible play. And then Atlanta wins 18-17 or something like that. So you're just looking at Philadelphia. Yeah, they still don't have the defense. Surprised they didn't score more. Maybe Atlanta's got a good defense. It's hard to say because they beat Pitt the first week. Who doesn't have, against Fields. So that doesn't, now, yeah, they held Philly to 17 or 18, whatever. Pretty good defense there by Atlanta, and Philly, we'll see, right? So that's week 2. Now let's look at week 3, and then we'll get into college. So we got the Jets, New England, 6.5, 37.5. I don't see any major injuries. Rodgers, okay, he was out a year. First game, okay, played the Niners. Last week, a good win against Tennessee. This week, New England. Should be a good game. New England, I don't know. They're not a Z team. I've got them as an under team. So here's the new ranks. I got New England as an under team, the Jets as an E team. 22 points scoring and giving, somewhere around there. New England I got as a 17 defense. The Jets is a 25. And here the spread 6.5, 37.5. My spread 7. The Jets defense isn't as strong as it's going to be. I don't know if it's injuries, changes, or whatever, but they'll get better. And then, of course, their offense with Aaron Rodgers, once that gets going, the defense picks up. Although Tennessee was almost ready to, tie the game up at the end there. So, I mean, they theoretically would have given up 24 to Tennessee. That's a problem. So that's not your ace defense. And this is the problem. Like I bet Detroit over last week. And the thing is, you've got to get over last year. It's last year. That's why I say you need about 3 weeks to get into this year because the teams change. So now I've got the Jets are an E team, probably going to be an A team once Rodgers settles in and the defense settles in, but they're not there yet. You got to be careful. I got Indy 2 and 42.5 to the Bears. Indy with Richardson. I mean, he's terrible. He threw 3 picks against Green Bay. See, Green Bay figured him out. So Chicago, good defense. He's not going to do much on Chicago. Over under 42.5, I think, is very high considering you're not going to get points from the Bears. And there's no way Indy's going to score a lot, right? I mean, how can not against the Bears? They do have a good defense. And Richardson, he just got lucky the first week because he hit some long passes. So just keep him out. You're fine. Cleveland and the Giants. The Giants are the Z team with Carolina. Cleveland's an E team. Not a great defense. Deshaun Watson looked a little better last week. Chubb is out, so you got that injury. They still ran the ball okay. Watson wants to run too much. That's not good. The Giants, 25 defense. Cleveland, a 23 defense. Here the over-under is 38.5, which if Cleveland's playing the regular defense, they would probably shut them out. Daniel Jones sucks, but Watson's not really going to light you up. Tennessee and Green Bay. Tennessee's 3, 36.5. Cleveland was 6, 38.5. Tennessee 3, 36.5. Green Bay's now an under team with the 22 defense, especially now that Willis is the quarterback. With Love, they're probably more of an over because they don't have a great defense, but they got a great offense with Love. Willis, it was mostly running last week. They play Tennessee. So we have Tennessee I have as a W team, 24 defense. They don't score that much. But if they completed that touchdown, they wouldn't be a W team. They'd be an E team. So there's a lot of tweaking going on still. But we're getting a feel, again, these first 2-3 weeks. But by 6 weeks from now, the grades will all shift because they'll then get in shape. the guys are getting injured because no preseason. It's just, I don't know who's in charge. Is it the GM or the owner or the coach who's making these really stupid decisions? That I'm not sure of. So is Green Bay a live dog here? I think so, because Tennessee with Levis, he's just not very good. 22 defense, Green Bay 24, and the over-under at 36.5. I mean, this would be an easy lock over with Love, but that's why you got to adjust to Willis. And then with Willis, you're like, they played a low-scoring game last week with Indy. So I don't expect this to be this. This will probably be the same. Run it down their throat. Tennessee doesn't have much of a defense. 24 defense. Philly, New Orleans. This is a good game. New Orleans is your 18. They're the best team in the league. Philadelphia is kind of an over team, although don't know. New Orleans with the 15 defense and Philly with the 26. New Orleans is 1.5 and 50 here. I think that line's a little bit low. The way they handled Dallas, I don't see much. Philly's defense isn't all that. Again, they beat Kirk Cousins like he stinks. Andy Dalton's better than Kirk Cousins. So we'll see here, but this should be a good game. It's all about Philly's defense. Do they have one? San Diego and Pitt. Pitt minus 236. I would say that there won't be a lot of points, especially if Fields is the quarterback. Pittsburgh's very low scoring, good defense, no offense. San Diego playing pretty well. What was their score? Where's week 2? San Diego. That was my lock, 26-3 over Carolina. So they scored some points, but Carolina's so weak defensively. See, that's where the lock comes from. If I get that line, I should be laying 14 and I'm laying 5. I mean, what the hell is that? And then people are betting Carolina. So anyway, they benched finally Young, and they're going with Andy Dalton, what are they waiting for? I mean, why did they wait? What do you think you saw him all last year. He sucked. At what point did you think he was going to get better? And I don't like this. Well, let's give him time. And let's in baseball, well, let's get the guy major league pitching. Let's let him have 100, 200 at bats. And the guy's hitting 150. Okay, maybe he needs minor league pitching. And then, he obviously can't hit in the majors. But they got to see it. And it's like, so how long did you need to see Bryce Young before you knew he sucked? We knew it last year after 3 or 4 games. So he comes in and now he's finally benched. And as he should never have played. He should have been the backup to Dalton the whole time. What does he look like in practice? I mean, he must suck in practice. So what are you saying, right? And the coach is like going, fuck, I'm going to lose my job because we're not going to win a game with this guy. So he finally makes the decision and hopes Andy Dalton doesn't get hurt. This is my point. We can see it. Why can't they see it? Oh, because he was the first pick in the draft and you paid him a lot of money and you don't want to admit you fucked up. I knew you fucked up as soon as you drafted him. Terrible. Don't they watch college and see how bad these guys are, and then you take them anyway? Wow. All right. So San Diego, Pitt, Minnesota. I got Minnesota 3 points, and Houston's a 3-point favorite with the 45, a 45 over under. I'm fine with Darnell. He looks much better. Okay, you lost Jefferson. Fine, didn't matter. Good running. You beat 49ers. Now you're making them a home dog to Houston with that defense. Minnesota's got a 12 defense, Houston a 20. I've got Houston as an E team, and I got Minnesota as an A team. They're scoring, and they have a 12 defense. This is a bad line. Minnesota should be favorite. I get Jefferson's out. Didn't hurt him against the Niners, did it? Yeah, it's a shame he's out, and I don't know how long he's out for. But they have other receivers, and Darnell looks like a regular quarterback now. So he's figured it out. I think at San Francisco they helped him. So I don't buy Houston as the favorite in this game at all. 20 defense for Houston, and they just played Caleb, and then a 12 for Minnie, and they played the Niners. So yeah, who's got the better defense there? And I assume they'll run it more, or they'll bring in tight ends and hit the running backs. I mean, you lose Jefferson, so now you throw more to the tight end, you throw more to the running backs. I mean, they're still there. KC does it all the time when they lose somebody. And if you notice in the KC game, that Xavier Worthy didn't catch a pass. Didn't even throw to him. Cincinnati knew how to say once he's exposed, then Cincinnati, okay, we're going to take him away, and they took him away. That one guy played with him or something in college, and he said all he can do is run straight. So he just bumped him and was on him and didn't do anything. Anyway, Denver, Tampa, interesting game. Denver's an under team, obviously, with Bo Nix still coming up. They have a 20 defense. Tampa Bay's an A team. They just went to Detroit in that loud environment and won. They're an 18 defense, holding Detroit to 16. Here they get Denver with Bo Nix. My spread 4, they're 6.5 and 40. Tampa Bay there. So keep that in mind. Denver with a 20 defense, Tampa with an 18 defense. So pretty good. So Tampa looks pretty good. They got the receivers, and Mayfield looks much better. Their defense looked very good against the Lions. And that's how you got to take it right now. How do they look? In a hostile environment in Detroit, and they won. Okay. Here comes Denver. Not much offense. Pretty good defense. This should be a pretty good game. Carolina and Oakland. Now everything changes. I had Oakland as a 7. Now it's down to a 5 with the 41. Dalton will go against Minshew. Minshew's looking very good. That upset at Baltimore. They were down 10. He takes them. They tie, and they win it by 3. He grew up there. So look for Oakland to be a real powerhouse because they've got the defense, and now you're giving them offense. You got Brock Bowers, you got the Notre Dame tight end, and you got Devontae Adams. I think they have some running. So, and we know they got a defense. So look for Oakland to be. They're going to give KC all sorts of problems with that defense. So look for that. But now this would have been a lock if it was Young, because they would have sacked him, and he'd have gotten sacked 15 times in the game. Now you got Dalton, who's much better. Now it's like night and day. So we got to be careful here. Carolina with Dalton is a different animal. Oakland's still tough. They beat Baltimore. Carolina's got to go coast to coast. So this should be interesting. Over under 41. I don't know. Carolina with the 37 defense, Oakland with the 23, obviously. Carolina's not that bad, but they just gave up 26 points to San Diego, and they gave up 40 points to New Orleans, who's looking like the top offense, New Orleans. Let's see. Miami and Seattle. I got Seattle -7. It's -5. Over under 41.5. And Tag is out. So I guess they're going with Skylar Lockett. Hey, Greg and John. I guess they're going with Skylar Lockett or whoever. Miami with the 24 defense. We know they don't have a good defense. Seattle with the 20. They don't have a real good defense. They played Denver, and then last week they played New England. So they haven't played a really good offense yet. And they're not going to get one here because, here's the problem. Preseason, you don't play the guys. You don't play your starters. Now Tagliabue is out, and here you got Skylar Lockett or whatever his name is, Skylar Thompson. He hasn't played with Tyreek Hill and the other guy and Waddle, and they didn't even play him in the game last week. They pulled the starters in the fourth quarter. What the fuck kind of coach is that? So I don't like this coach either. And so here he goes with the new Skyler, and he doesn't have his timing down. It's like golf. You can't just go out and swing. You got to get your timing and your rhythm down. You got to get where's the breaks? When's Tyreek Hill going to break? Where's he going? This and that. You got to learn the receivers. You don't learn it in practice. You got to learn it in a game where the defensive guys are pushing them and the blitz is coming. That's the environment you got to get used to. So that's the thing. Eagles blew the game, bad coaching. Well, they don't have good coaching. I didn't play the game last night, but they don't have good coaching at all. The coach they had, Jim Schwartz, they let go. And then the other coach, the offensive guys coach at Indiana. And so, I mean, they don't really have a good coach, and it shows. How they got to the Super Bowl, I have no idea. But them and Dallas are in trouble. Washington could win the division there if they can get Jalen Daniels going, although they don't have a defense. So Miami, Seattle, what are you going to do? There's no tag. So Miami goes to like a Z team. They won't score, and they have no defense. Seattle, kind of an over team. Still, they don't have a great defense. They go to New England and go to overtime. I'm not impressed. I don't like this new coach. And, they're throwing the Smith-Najiba more. Fuck, you got Lockett and Metcalf. What are you wasting your time? Lockett only caught one pass. Again, why do you need three receivers when you got two good ones? So Kenneth Walker was out, the running back, so they didn't really run the ball much. A lot of injuries because you don't play them in the preseason. Detroit, Arizona. I got Arizona -3. Detroit's a 3-point favorite. 52.5 over under. Detroit with a 20 defense and Arizona with a 22 defense. But then we see the Rams last week, and they only scored 10 points on Arizona. So how good is the Detroit 20 defense? And then Tampa got 20. So how good is that defense when, it looks like LA's in trouble? Well, they lost Puka. Now they lost Cooper Kupp last week. So that's what happened there. So LA's in big trouble. But so Detroit's a 3-point favorite. Are we watching the same game? Arizona lit up the Rams 41-10. They played Buffalo 34-28. So they played pretty well against Buffalo. Over under 52.5. Big number. Detroit is having problems. See, the problem with this Williams guy, the fast guy, is he's useless inside the 20 because speed doesn't matter then. You need power, and he doesn't have any. So where's he going to run to? He's got 20 yards to run. There's the end of the end zone. You can't use your speed in the red zone. So they got to take him out of the game, but they're too stupid to take him out of the game. And then that leaves you with the running. They should probably run Montgomery more in the red zone. Again, they don't kick the field goal. So the Lions, let's see. The coach cost them again. They screw up at half where they're going to spike the ball and the field goal team runs out. So you got 20 guys on the field. And then the runoff, so they don't even get the kick. You lose by 4. You finished at the 20. You could have easily kicked that field goal. You win the game 22-20. And you could have still won the game 22-20 if with a minute left you kicked the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 8, gaining 5 yards. And then you held them and you got the ball back and you're back down at the 20. You could have kicked the field goal to win with 5 seconds left. The coach has a big problem. I don't think he understands at all what the strategy of the game is. You can't always go for 4th down. You can't. It's 4th and 8. Well, we'll go for it, of course. Because when you miss, there's a penalty for missing. It's not It's not, oh, we're going to make it and let's go. We'll be aggressive. No. Is it the prudent call? No. You needed 2 field goals at the end. You went for fourth down at least three times, probably 4 or 5. I didn't watch the second half. I watched the first half. What are you doing? What is it that you are doing by going for the fourth downs and the fake punts? What is it you're doing? We needed a lift, okay, but focus on the game. You're not moving on Tampa. You've got to figure that out. Not, well, we have 4 downs, so let's use fourth down. No, because if you don't make it, you lose the game, because then you give Tampa the ball, you're 30. You've got to understand, if you don't make it, what happens. And then at the end of the game, so you scored 16 points on Tampa. You didn't even figure that out, right? You didn't figure anything out. You couldn't. They played a good defense on you, and you didn't figure it out. They're moving. The key to Goff is if he can just stand in the pocket. But what are these teams doing now? They're putting pressure on Goff. Arizona's going to pressure him. Goff doesn't like the pressure. He threw 2 interceptions and no touchdowns last week, because they're getting him off his spot and he doesn't like it. Now this is why the Rams got rid of him. They got him off his spot and he sucked. In the Super Bowl, New England got him off his spot and they got 3 points. That's why the Rams got rid of him. And now you're finding out that you've fucked up and you've paid this guy $50 million. He's as bad as Bryce Young. Oh, but he was good against Carolina and Atlanta last year. Yeah, I know he lost to Baltimore 35-3, but that was just a bad game. I mean, that I love that excuse. Yeah, it's just a bad game. Yeah, because you played one good team. You didn't do anything against Dallas, threw 2 interceptions, and then what happened in the Green Bay and the Bear game? So you're beating all these bad teams, and now you've got a good schedule because you made it to the championship game. You're getting the A schedule. Should have lost to the Rams. They were winning late in the game. You got lucky to take that to overtime. You lose to Tampa. You're going to lose at Arizona. You got San Francisco, which you might be okay because they're all injured. But if you get them after McCaffrey's back, they're gonna light you up. The only hope is if you play Dallas and Philly, where they're at. So I don't buy Detroit being a road favorite at all. The Niners and the Rams, Deebo Samuel's out, Cooper Kupp's out, Pukanuka's out. So you do have Stafford and the little guys, and the defense is okay. They have a 34 defense because they gave up so many points to Arizona, so that'll balance out. The Niners are a little surprising with the 21 defense and the problems they had with Minnesota. A 97-yard pass to Jefferson, that's ridiculous. I mean, who's their defensive coordinator this year? Because he's not very good. So the Niners are an over team. They've been an A team for the last couple of years. They got a 21 defense. And the Rams stink. They got a 34 defense, so they're missing Aaron Donald. They got killed by Kyler Murray. Half his times he's running, there's nobody within 10 yards of the guy. So this will be an interesting one. The Niners are definitely reeling, and the Rams have no receivers, and their defense isn't that good. Baltimore and Dallas. I have Dallas -3. It's Baltimore -1, over under a 49. Baltimore did well against KC, moving the ball and scoring. And then last week against Oakland, they did well. So we saw the real Dallas team. New Orleans is still scoring, 44-19. So Baltimore, I think, should be a high number. However, I think Dallas should score on ball. This is where the adjustment is. Baltimore and Dallas do not have the defenses. They got Micah Parsons, but they do not have the defenses. For Oakland, with Minshew to light them up and in the fourth quarter win the game. Now, a lot of that's Baltimore's getting tired because they didn't play in the preseason. So they lost that game because they didn't play in the preseason. Now we're into week 3. I think after this week, the players should be in shape if there's anybody left. after all the calf, hamstring, and knee injuries. Should be a pretty good game. This is Lamar looks terrible, and Prescott, 2 interceptions, looked terrible. I'll tell you, New Orleans just looks like the hottest team. They're unbelievable. KC, Atlanta, KC. I have 7-point favorites, or only 3.5. That's a bargain. Over under 46.5. But Checo's out, but I think they still have Chocolate Eclair, so he can run. He's fine. They got the receivers, the defense, pretty good. I mean, this is Joe Burrow who lit him up for 25, and this is Kirk Cousins who's never will get 25 on him. We'll see how good the defense is for Atlanta against this team. Now you have the parameter. Okay, they beat week 1 Pittsburgh with Fields. He's terrible. And then the week 2 Atlanta we saw last night. Okay, they held Philly. I got to watch those highlights. But you have here's KC, and if they can hold KC under 20, that's fine. They'll never do that, but we'll see. And Kirk Cousins, we'll see if that. Now, Pacheco out hurts them, but again, they'll have Chocolate Eclair, so he should be good. 3.5, 46.5. Jacksonville goes to Buffalo. I have Buffalo -7. It's 5.5 for some reason. And I don't know these 5-point spreads. What the fuck is that? It's great. I get to save instead of laying 7 down to 1. I get 5 down and I get +1. Buffalo 5.5, and then 45 is the total. Buffalo is an A team with a 19 defense. Jacksonville is an under team with a 19 defense. Let me go through that. So Baltimore is an over. Dallas is an over. KC's an E team because their defense gave up so many points to Joe Burrow. Atlanta's an under team. They don't score. Pretty good defense. Jacksonville is an under team. Buffalo is an A team. So Buffalo at home plays very well there. The 45, hard to say. And then we've got Washington against Cincinnati. Washington a W. They're kind of a W over. They give up a lot of points. They're starting to score a little bit more, but that was against the Giants. They played a 21-18 game. Tampa lit them up. So the Giants don't have a quarterback. Cincinnati, okay, they're 0-2. This is your free play. Take Cincinnati -2 is the free play. They can't afford to lose. We got them under 3. It's an 8. I saw some 8.5s. Get it in soon. I got Cincy winning this game 37-17. Washington with the 28 defense, Cincy with the 21, but that doesn't even matter here. Over under 48.5. It's probably an over also, but Cincinnati must win this game. They looked very good against KC, the cream team, right? So here's Washington, no defense. Burrow's going to light it up with Chase. They can't go 0-3. So this becomes a very good team who's settling in. Burrow's back, played very good against KC. They're ready, and now they're 0-2, and now they're desperate, backs against the wall. Here's your game right here. Take Cincy over Washington. So your injuries, it's not even an injury. Dalton will start for Carolina. Tua's out, so I guess Skylar Thompson will start. The Niners, Samuel's out, and McCaffrey. The Rams, Pukanuka and Cooper Kupp are out. KC, Pacheco's out. And that's it. Now we'll get more into the injuries probably Thursday or Friday, but we know these are the injuries. Again, so if we look at the quarterback, so New England, Brissett, he's average at best. Rodgers great. Chicago with Caleb, he's not good. Can't read a blitz. just like at USC. It's funny how they say, "Oh, he threw a completion," just like USC. They're really trying to build Caleb up, but I don't see him much better than Bryce Young. He should not be playing right now, right? Maybe after week 8, 9, 10, when he sees the game and he can work on reading the blitz and understanding coverages. He's the Lincoln Riley system does not prepare quarterbacks for the NFL. It's a run and shoot. Just go back, whoever's open, throw it to him. You're not really reading defenses. You get in the NFL, you don't know where it's coming from. So, I mean, Houston doesn't have that kind of defense, and they beat them 19-13. He scores 13 on Houston. Here he gets Indy, who doesn't have a great defense either, but they'll just blitz the hell out of them, as every team will do. And this guy's terrible. I don't like Richardson either. So you got some weak quarterbacks. The Giants, Daniel Jones, 18 points on Washington. I mean, what was that? And Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. So there's a big quarterback problem here. I've read off 6 teams, and there's one good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay, Willis, just really running the ball. Tennessee, Levis is terrible. It's just amazing. Philly, Hurts is okay, not great. Where was Barkley yesterday? Why didn't he get more touches? New Orleans looks really good. They got the new guy, Shaheed, with Olave and Kamara. I think Kamara scored 4 touchdowns against Dallas. And then Carr's looking fine, and the defense is really strong. So this is probably right here is the best team, I think, in the NFC, maybe football, New Orleans. San Diego and 18, they're scoring a little bit better with Harbaugh and that tough defense. Same with Pittsburgh. It's both. Well, Herbert's much better. So Herbert's a good quarterback. Fields, they got to get Russell Wilson in there, but the calf injury. So Fields is terrible, as we know. I don't know why Pitt picked him up. I mean, he sucked at the Bears. They let him go, and you're picking him up so he can suck with you. Like, well, what are you thinking here? Houston, Stroud, he's okay. He's inconsistent, nothing great. Darnold all of a sudden looks much better at Minnesota. We'll see. Denver, next. He needs 5-6 weeks, but he's starting to cook. I mean, he played Pittsburgh last week. You're not going to do anything against them. Tampa Bay, the Baker is looking really good, really sharp last week. Carolina, okay, now we got Dalton. Oakland with Minshew is looking very good, Minshew, like he did at Washington State, not at USC. Miami, Tagovailoa is out. Skylar Thompson's terrible. Seattle, with their quarterback, is not very good. They need a real quarterback, not Smith. Detroit, Goff, big trouble. He's not. Hooker's better, but they won't play him because they signed Goff to this contract. But you're seeing the real Goff. A lot of interceptions. When they blitz him, he runs out and just throws the ball away. Very bad. Arizona, Kyler Murray's looking very good. Very running good. Hit Harrison and those. He's looking like a very good quarterback. Frisco, they got Purdy. Okay. Not great, not superstar, but he's decent. But he needs McCaffrey. They need the balance. The Rams, Stafford's very good, and Stenson Benson's very good. Baltimore, Lamar. What in the pressure? You got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and he can't hold it. 3 and outs. It's either the bad play calling or Lamar not making audibles, not reading defenses, just wanting to run. He's still terrible. Prescott's terrible for Dallas. We know that. 2 interceptions to New Orleans. I bet he has 2 this week against the pretty good Baltimore defense. Mahomes, he's the god. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, big trouble. They're better with Penix. But I agree giving Penix like 5-6 weeks to get ready. He's your future, not Cousins is terrible. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, another bad quarterback. Buffalo, Josh Allen. He's getting better. He's starting to grow on me. Still can't read a blitz, but he's getting better. Washington, I like Daniels, but he's him and Nix. Give him 5-6 weeks, and then Cincinnati, you got the God and Joe Burrow. Hey, Real D, the Baker and Carr both playing with a chip on their shoulder. I agree with you. Baker looks, he's running. He's like not taking shit. He made that one run against Detroit because I was watching the game. He's about to get sacked, and he somehow finds the hole, and he runs for like 20 yards. I was like, who the hell's that? He's throwing the ball good. He kept hitting that second receiver. I can't think of his name. He's playing very well. He lit up. He never would have lit up Washington before. They would have won 20-17. They got 40 some on Washington. And to go into Detroit, it's very loud and win. A, it shows how good Tampa is this year. B, it shows how bad Detroit is, because to lose to Tampa's not great. But if Detroit got that New Orleans Tampa division again, they're going to get killed by New Orleans. We will see. All right, you guys talking. Steelers are still winning with the defense. Yeah, I know that. Is it true sharp guys don't really bet big and unit until 4 weeks into the season? I have no idea. I consider myself a sharp, and I bet small because I'm building my bankroll every year. And then as I figure out the teams, I bet more. I can't speak for all the sharps, but there's a lot more risk, as you can see, right? Early on, there's more risk. Once we see like New Orleans, they're the A team. Well, we didn't know they were the A team the first 2 weeks, although I did play them last week, plus 12.5 against Dallas. I didn't think they'd win by 50, but I thought they could win, or it'd be, what was my score? I had 24-20 Dallas winning. I said, well, 12.5 for sure. Now I would obviously, like this week, I have them beating Philadelphia. But see, that's the secret. You have to be open-minded, and now we see the changes, right? Detroit's not an over team, right? And Baltimore is not as strong. Oakland is much better than Greg and John thinks. He thinks Oakland's not very good. I'm going to disagree. Brock Bowers, 9 catches. He's fitting in. When you put him with Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers, good luck stopping that duo. And then they have a pretty good running back. So, yeah, I mean, we're seeing Darnold is being much better at Minnesota. Cousins at Atlanta. What's Philly like this year? So it takes you 3 to 4 weeks to really, I didn't bet the game last night. I would have bet Philly, but I said no. Here's Cousins. I still don't understand Philly yet. They gave up a ton of points to Green Bay, and then last night was better. I think there was really a slippery field in Brazil for that game. However, we don't know Philly. We know Dallas. They got, as long as Dak Prescott's there, they'll never win. It's funny how we can see that and they can't. Again, the same thing with Bryce Young. So we've been locking against Bryce Young. I had San Diego in the lock over Carolina last week. That was a little bit bigger bet. I had that one with Iowa, so that was good. In the beginning, you just use logic. Okay, Iowa off the loss, and I should have bet Colorado off the loss. I was pissed I didn't bet that one. But that's, you've got to see, you have the quality to read the team and understand it. That's where I excel. And then as I figure out the team, and the hardest part is this isn't last year, right? You're still looking at last year's team, right? What's Alabama? They don't have Nick Saban. They got DeBoer now. Well, they fucking went to Wisconsin and lit them up. Well, Wisconsin still has a defense. I guess Van Dyke got hurt in the game, but you still don't have it's still, who's Alabama? And now they got Georgia next week. Alabama, Georgia it's not this week. They're on a bye to get ready. It's next week, and Georgia played like shit. They're going to be mighty pumped. It's revenge. I don't know what. I got to see the line and see if I'm taking the dog or what. They're not going to light up Georgia for 40 points. I guarantee you that. Georgia's got some injuries on the defensive line. There's 3 defensive linemen out, but I don't know if they're starters or what. Holding Kentucky to 12 is nothing. Kentucky got 6 on South Carolina. South Carolina looked a lot better. Florida looks like shit. So you're gathering all this data, and I'm recording it all, and I'm ranking my teams. So if we look at our 8 teams, New Orleans, San Diego, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Buffalo. I do not have Kansas City or Cincinnati as an A yet. They probably will be. Cincinnati needs to win this game. Kansas City should win, but they gave up 25 points to Joe Burrow, which, okay, it's just timing. So in 2 weeks, we'll see if they're now an A team. But they're scoring, 23, 24, and they gave up 23. I call it an E team because I can't really go over or under on it. And they're not an A and they're not a Z. So, but we know Casey. So in my mind, I'm still thinking they're an A team, but there's something. We'll see how their defense plays Atlanta this week. But you can see that my Z team is the Giants and Carolina. Miami's a W. The Rams are a W, and Washington's a W. Even though they scored, their offense is getting better, but their defense is a 28. So they're probably. I think they're an over team, but I don't know if they're there yet. But that's where they'll end up. I got them as a WO, so they're a kind of weak but an over team with Daniels. Because they only scored 21-18 against the Giants. That's pretty sad. So that's what you're learning. Where are my bitches? We're the Z team. And the same thing in college. I made the mistake of a couple games where I thought they were Z teams, which I'm pulling from last year. Well, looking at them this year, but it's not enough data. And like the Temple game, Coastal Carolina, that I usually am very careful betting against the Z team. But Coastal Carolina forgot to come play. So that's what you look for. So Real D, to answer the question, I think a good, sharp, better kind of gets his feet wet and sees the teams. And then but I'm quick to read the team. I can see New Orleans. They're an A team. They played 2 weeks. Now I see it. Now I go, fuck, they're the best team in the NFC, maybe in the league. Killing Dallas at Dallas with Micah Parsons playing is very impressive. So that's what you have. These new offensive and defensive coordinators come in. The teams change. Frisco, new defensive coordinator. KC hasn't changed. They're 2-0. It'll take a lot to beat them if Cincinnati couldn't. But that's what you're looking at. Look at the Rams got injuries. The Niners got injuries. So then you've got to factor that in. So, it's all of a sudden, I got to put my lock on New Orleans and Tampa and these in Arizona. Arizona's a dog. Now, I never would have. Last year, I would have been all over Detroit and the over in this game. Now, there's no way I'm betting Detroit as a road favorite. They can't beat Tampa at home. Arizona looks fucking great last week against the Rams. So that's what you learn. And then, yes, you bet it. So that's why these couple weeks are learning. You're gathering the data for this year. How is this year's team? Because you were all thinking last year, but what's happening with all the changes and there's playing the rookie quarterbacks and all these new coaches, you throw out last year's stats with most teams, not Kansas City, maybe Baltimore, Cincinnati. You pretty much, you got Joe Burrow, you got Aaron Rodgers, you know what you're getting. The Jets are just going to get better now that Aaron Rodgers got a win. He's starting to play. They actually scored 24 points in a game. That's really what you're looking at. The Dogs was breaking in week 2. Barking. Yeah. What are you filling in for Bobby? Spelling wrong? But you can't, New Orleans, why were they if they play now, New Orleans would be a 7-point favorite at Dallas. So, yeah, but that's, there's in some cases, yes, some cases, no. And that's why a lot of the lines are wrong. And yeah, you take the dog in a lot of the games because there's really the only team now you're afraid of is New Orleans and Arizona, I guess you're afraid of. And then you had Cincinnati as a dog, so that made a big difference. I wouldn't take Washington against Cincinnati this week. Cincy must win. So that's what you're looking at now, week 3. Who's 0-2? Who needs to win? Who's a good team? And that's really, the Jets were 0-1, couldn't go to 0-2, right? And then so they won. And now you got Miami. Their coach should be fired. Why did he bench Tyreek Hill and those guys in the fourth quarter? I got a backup quarterback. I got the game over. I need 1 point to win my over, and he pulls all the starters down 17 points in the fourth quarter. What the fuck is that? He should be fired for quitting. Can the Vikings keep it up? Saints have a new offensive coordinator, Kubiak. Yeah, he's good. Baltimore is 0-2 too. Yeah, but Baltimore is going to Dallas. So I would think, they're going to play with urgency. But you just look at all the 0-2 teams and where it's affordable. Now, you can't – Cincinnati gets Washington. That's a whole different story. Baltimore has to go to Dallas, who just got killed by New Orleans. They're not going to lay down. They got Micah Parsons. So you can't get too excited taking Baltimore. But there's a reason they're 0-2, Lamar and the bad coach. That's why they're 0-2. Blowing the lead to Oakland, you've got to be kidding me. They got tired because of the preseason. So it all starts in the preseason. What are you doing? You can't not play the players and prepare them. Like I said, it's like taking a test. You can't give not study for a test and go in and take your test. It's since none of these teams are ready except Kansas City. Cincinnati got ready quickly last week. New Orleans is ready. I don't know how much they played Carr in the preseason, but a lot of these teams are ready. Yeah, Gary Kubiak's a very good. He used to be a quarterback for Denver. He's from the whatchamacallit, Shanahan tree. Like Shanahan was his coach at Denver. So he's a good. That's like the Tennessee coach in college is a quarterback and the Applewhite at South Alabama. They put up 80 points last week. They've got a quarterback coach like Tennessee, like TCU, and that's why they light it up. They know how to run the offense. So you've got that. Really, you think Bryce Young should have been benched? I don't think Bryce Young should have been out there. Okay, now I don't know. Were we talking now, or are we talking? But look at last year. They won one game. They've beaten Houston, so that's why I doubt Stroud. And then you've got maybe they won 2 games, but did he look good last year? No. So what makes you think he's good this year? And the coach came out, oh, we got it all straightened out now, but we won't use him in the preseason. So why didn't you use him in the preseason? See, these practices are putting too much emphasis on, well, we're playing another team in practice. It's two-hand touch. You're not tackling. There's no blitzing. Okay, yeah, you're going back and these guys are covering them. That is not game ready. I'm sure they got the red shirts on. Don't tackle the quarterbacks. Everybody's so afraid of getting hurt. And look at all the key injuries in the first 2 weeks. I mean, Puka-Nacua, Cup's out, Samuel's out, Tua's out, Pacheco's out. Pacheco's a little different. He got hit bad, but a lot of these injuries are all prevented by playing in the preseason in a real game. The quarterback, that's where Caleb needed to work, was the preseason, where they're blitzing him. He needs to learn how to read the blitz. Well, he's not getting that in practice. And I'm sure he wasn't getting it in the team practice against the other team. Don't think that when you're playing in shorts and you're two-hand touching everybody, don't think that gets you ready. It doesn't. How come they're not worried about getting injured in that? Because they're not tackling. So you got to simulate the actual game experience, and you're not doing it in those practices. You need the preseason, and you need the guys out. You need your starters out there at least a quarter, and by the end, a half, and then this stupid bye. So that just tires everybody out anyway. But they're not. Go play 60 minutes. You haven't played 60 minutes, in practice or in preseason. How the hell? That's why you're seeing these fourth quarter, like Baltimore, fall apart. They got tired. There's no way they should have lost that game, but it happens because the coach has his head up his ass. So none of the coaches really impressed me in football. Andy Reid, he choked so many times at Philadelphia. It's hard to get behind him, but he's winning because of Mahomes, basically. And Spagnuolo, I love as the defensive coordinator. See, they were smart. They paid him. They gave him a 5-year contract. KC will be good for the next 5 years. Mahomes and the defense, and then they'll be New England, who no Belichick, no Brady. I can't understand how New England's doing it. This coach doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know, but I don't even know who their coordinators are in New England. But they're getting it done. But see, I thought they were a Z team. That's why I took Cincinnati in week 1, going, oh, they're the Z team. Just because there's no Belichick and there's no Brady and there's no running and there's no defense. And, we'll see how good they are. I think they're still Belichick players, so maybe that's why the Stevenson running back. You can't figure that out, and Brissett. So, they're an average team, but they're not the Z team. So now we got Carolina Z team, but they made this switch to Dalton. Now we got to be careful there. So absolutely, Andy Dalton will do fine. Yeah, well, he's been sitting on the bench. I don't know if he was there last year or not, but absolutely, he'll do fine. All right, so let's look at some college football. I'm not going to go back over week 3. I think we did it yesterday. So let's go key games for week 4. We'll just do the spreads. App State 7-63 to South Alabama. South Alabama, the very explosive team. 30 defense for South Alabama, 32 for App State. Syracuse 10 over Stanford, over under 57. Syracuse a 25 defense, Stanford a 20 defense. Illinois, Nebraska, very good game. They got Nebraska laying 9 and 44. Illinois with a 9 defense and Nebraska with a 7 defense. I have both of these teams as 8 teams. San Jose State, Washington State, 13.5, 55. San Jose State with a really good defense, 14, and Washington State with the 21. They just beat Washington last week. And then we get into, are they going to be flat? You win a big emotional game. Texas wasn't flat, beating Michigan. I doubt Washington State will be flat here. But it's going to be a good game. San Jose State's a good team. Florida, Mississippi State. How the hell is Florida 5.5-point favorites? And they got at least 10 guys injured on the injured out list, Florida. 27 defense, Old Mississippi State 26. Florida 5.5, 58. Where are they going to get points from in this game? Both teams. Old Mississippi State got killed by Toledo, I think, last week. Was it? Yeah, Toledo beat them 41-17 over Old Mississippi State. What the fuck's wrong with them? Indy 28. 48.5 to Charlotte. They killed UCLA. It's a home game, and Charlotte's a Z team. Charlotte with the 32 defense, Indy with the 7. Indy looks very strong. They'll be a live dog. Maybe not against Ohio State and Oregon if they play them, but everybody else, Illinois and Nebraska here, I would definitely take Indy as a live dog there. They got the good coach from James Massey. The coach goes. And now the team's playing the way the coach wants them, but you get brought in a good coach. Problems when you bring in an idiot coach, like you did at Carolina, and the guy is fucking clueless. Tulane and Lou Lafayette. Tulane 3, 54. 23 defense for Tulane. Lou Lafayette at 10. We did have the under in the Tulane Oklahoma game, which just barely won for us last week. We've got North Carolina 10.5, 47.5 to James Madison, who's normally a good team. James Madison with a 6 defense. North Carolina was the 16. I'm not sure who James Madison played. It's 10.5, 47.5. That seems like a high number. With North Carolina doesn't have an offense. But let's see James Madison, who they played, to see if this is a real 6 defense. Clemson, 20.5, 48 to NC State. NC State's got my guy, Grace McCall, the quarterback. Clemson, Klubiak. They lit it up against App State. But Georgia, they lost 31-3. So we'll see which is the real team. NC State with a 31 defense. Clemson, 27. This is unusual. NC State's really a good defensive team normally. So 20.5, 48. Don't know what to do with this one. West Virginia, 2.5, 57.5 to Kansas. Kansas, their quarterback's terrible. They lost Bean, the offensive coordinator went to Penn State. You'd have thought the coach knew what he was doing. Apparently, it was the offensive coordinator because they were an over team for the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm expecting Penn State to score more because if they're going to run the Kansas offense. Let's see. I got Kansas with the 16 defense and West Virginia 29. So Kansas is playing much better defense, but not better offense. And West Virginia has lost to Pitt and lost to Penn State. They're a 29 defense. So this should be a good game. Ohio State 40 over Marshall. My line was 28. 40, I don't know about that. Marshall's not that bad. Ohio State with a 3 defense, Marshall with a 17. It's 40 with an over-under of 51. And Marshall should get some points. And then Ohio State, that's a big number, 40 against this team. This is not Akron, a Z team. This is a B team in Marshall. Cincinnati, 3.5, 48.5 to Houston. Houston with the 17 defense, Cincinnati with the 21. And Houston's played Oklahoma 16-12. Houston's got a killer defense. They don't have much offense. They're tweaking because Donovan Smith stinks, their quarterback. But Cincinnati at 3.5, 48.5. Houston, like I said, they're starting to come on, the new coach. Real D, Nebraska quarterback is pretty good. Yeah, but he's a freshman. But it's a good game. Illinois' quarterback's better, and their defenses are very compatible. This should be a very good game. Ohio State hasn't really covered big spread this year. Well, they did week 1. They got that late pick 6 to cover. I don't know what they did week 2. They didn't play last week. Week 2, they where are they? Well, maybe they didn't play week 2. I thought they played week 2. That's the problem. There's so many games in college. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, they beat Western Michigan 56-0. They did cover that one. They were laying 37. So, yeah, they covered both games. But they're playing a much better team in Marshall. Well, I think they're better. Again, you really got to go and dig into the schedule. But 40, that's a big number. But they're the A team now. Them, Oregon, if Rising ever comes back, Utah, and then Georgia, they're all 4 in the mix there. Georgia, believe me, they probably just took Kentucky lightly, and they got Alabama not this week, but next week. But I can't imagine they were looking ahead to Alabama, but they did not play Georgia football, that's for sure. Army against Rice, my Army team, 5.5, 42 to Rice. Army with a 7 defense. Rice with the 25. Army's getting 300 90 yards on the ground so far, leading the country in running. And if they start running and pounding, you're in trouble because if you can't stop it, they're just going to run it down your throat. Kentucky 20-42 to Ohio. Ohio with the 21 defense, Kentucky with the 14. Kentucky doesn't have any offense. I mean, they didn't score on South Carolina and got 12 on Georgia somehow. But Ohio's got a lot of injuries. I see like there's 8, 9, 10 injured. And so there's a few teams, Northwestern, Ohio. Who is this? UCLA. These teams got some serious injury problems. I mean, there's like 10. Oklahoma, Minnesota, Purdue. They got like 10 guys injured. And they're out. It's not like maybe. They're like out. Cam Rising's out this week. We'll get to that when we get to Utah. CMU 6.5, 53 against Ball State. Ball State with a 48 defense. Central with a 30 defense. Neither team's got a defense here. 6.5, 53 for Central. But Ball State's really not an explosive team. They get 276 yards a game, so you can't get, even though there's the weak defenses, you don't have the offense to take advantage of it. Iowa State, Arkansas State, Iowa State, 21.5, 51.5. 11 defense. They did that beautiful win against Iowa. Arkansas State with the 27 defense fucked us with 22 seconds left against Michigan. We'll get to Michigan in a minute. Utah State 651 to Temple. Temple with a 39 defense. Utah State with the 33. This is Z versus Z. Utah State's terrible. Virginia, Coastal Carolina. Virginia 355. Both teams with the 23 defense. Jacksonville State 6-61. Jacksonville State's got a 47 defense. Southern Miss 30. So here, Jacksonville State's a little bit more of an over team, and Southern Miss is a Z team. So we'll see. Jacksonville State played a fairly good game against Eastern. But like I said, when they went favorite, you wanted Eastern as the home dog, and they won the game. So here they're at home laying the 6-61. I don't know about the 61. I don't know if Southern Miss only gets 214 yards a game. How are they going to get to 61? Arizona State, Texas Tech, very good game. Texas Tech 359.5, 36 defense. Arizona State with a 19 defense. They found a running back and a decent quarterback, Arizona State. I have them as an A team, and I got Texas Tech as an over. They put up 80 points against North Texas last week. They're not going to do that against Arizona State. Arizona State's a 19 defense. Northern Illinois, our team, our Notre Dame killer. See, that's where the sharps get you, real D. When you pick that game, then you're in God status. Northern Illinois, 12.5, 43.5 to Buffalo. Northern Illinois with a 14 defense playing Notre Dame, and we saw what Notre Dame did last week. Buffalo with an 18 defense. Northern Illinois gets 500 yards of offense a game. Laying the 12.5. Buffalo, I got them as an under team, and I just don't see them stopping Northern Illinois. They got a really strong offense, Northern Illinois. I mean, it didn't show against Notre Dame, but it did show the week before. Speaking of Notre Dame plays Miami of Ohio, 28-44. Notre Dame with a 12 defense, and Miami of Ohio with a 20. Both teams get about 300 yards. So it's 28-44 to Miami of Ohio, who I got as an under team. So they're having trouble with the quarterback scoring, but their defense is not bad. But I think after the Northern Illinois game, Notre Dame is not going to take this game lightly. Our game of the week, USC, 5.5, 46.5 to Michigan. USC with a 10 defense, Michigan with a 20. They gave up 20 points to fucking Arkansas State. Uh, yeah, Michigan with no quarterback, really no offense, no coach. I don't even know if they have a decent defense because they gave up 20. Granted, it was late in the game. It was 28-10, but you only scored 28 points on Arkansas State. You got a real team coming in here, USC, with looks like a real defense. Here's where you get in trouble. Is their defense really this good? Their offense looks very good. They're running the ball more. They're listening to me. They realize they have to have balance. They need to rest the defense. The defense looks much better. I got them as an A team, not an O. Last year they were strictly an over team. And Michigan, I got as an under team. They're not scoring. Their defense is okay. Texas lit them up. And what do you think USC's doing? They're watching that Texas game film going, yeah, that route worked. That route worked. We could throw the ball all over the place on them. And Lincoln Riley can do that. So, we'll make this our free college. Let's go USC. We'll make this free. So your free play, Cincinnati, 0-2, backs against the wall. And let's go USC even against Michigan. I feel certain they'll win. The 46, we could go under 52 if you prefer it. Michigan will probably not score much. My score in this game is 27-14 USC. I just don't see Michigan scoring that much unless I'm miscalculating the USC defense. But Michigan, they really only got 23 on Fresno State because of the pick 6 at the end. And you're not going to get that from USC, although you could. It's a new quarterback, but he's played in a few games now. And what do I got for USC? Did they play last week? Probably not. Let's go to week 2. They might have played a high school team. That's what happens. Yeah, I don't. Oh, yeah, they beat Utah State 48-0, and we see Utah State's a pretty bad team. But they beat LSU the first week, and we see how good they are. So shutting out a team, yeah, that shows me a lot. So, yeah, free pick. Take USC even against Michigan, playing with Cincinnati. And I promise you Cincinnati's not going to pull a Baltimore, okay? They played really good against Mahomes, and they are 0-2. I don't know what else we can ask for. You're getting Washington, who has no defense. Burrow should get 5 touchdown passes in the game. They're getting better running, and their defense was much better. They'll get Daniels pretty good. So that's what we got. So, all right. Memphis, 9 over my Navy and 50. Memphis with a 10 defense. Just killed – who did they just kill last week? They beat Florida State. Well, what else is new? They're wearing bags over their head at Florida State now like the Lions used to do. They're embarrassed. How long will Oogly Boogly be the quarterback, right? And then Navy's a 16 defense. Navy's been playing pretty decent defense. They've got 400 yards a game, and they're mostly obviously rushing. But Memphis, strong team. They're both A teams. So laying 9 and 50, a 10 defense, 16 defense. Yeah, this should be a good game. Penn State playing the Z team, Kent State, laying 49 fucking points. What are you supposed to do with that? The over-under is 55. What the fuck is that? So it's basically Penn State blowing them out. Does Kent State score for you? Kent State with a 50 defense, Penn State with a 20 defense. Kent State gets 198 yards of offense in the game. Now, we know they're going to win. The question is, if you're going to play it, you play Penn State minus 43, you don't fuck with the over unless you want to go under, which is very dangerous to do an under here because Penn State will get rolling at home and their reserves will come out and they'll want to score. That's the difference in college. So we'll have to see here. Big line, but it's an A team against the Z, and they got the Kansas offensive coordinator. They've been definitely playing much better offensively. So we will see. This is going to be very ugly. If you want to play 49-point favorites, then play Penn State here. LSU, 24-55 to UCLA, who just got crushed by Indiana, who is a very good team, Indiana. 28 defense for UCLA. So we thought maybe they have a good defense because they held Hawaii down. LSU with the 27 defense. UCLA is getting 288. The quarterback Garber stinks. How good's LSU? They did. South Carolina lit them up, but they did put up some points, so they can score. UCLA can't, and it's in Baton Rouge, so we'll see. We need Bobby's input here. Hey, Todd. North Texas over Wyoming. Your free pick. I don't think I've gotten to it yet. Well, mine's USC, so let's see if we like yours better than mine. Rutgers, Virginia Tech, 3.5, 45 to a very good Rutgers team. Strong running team, 500 yards. VTech's balanced. They got drones, the quarterback. Rutgers is back to playing Shiano football. Run it down your throat and play the defense. They got a weak quarterback, but he's playing pretty good. They got the Minnesota quarterback who sucked. He's like 9-0 now in touchdowns, interceptions. VTech, 3.5, 45. Rutgers with the 12 defense. VTech with the 21. Very interesting game here. Should be a close one. Louisville, 10.5, 57.5 to my Georgia Tech team. What do we do with Georgia Tech here? Louisville is very strong. 7 defense, Georgia Tech with the 17 defense. But I don't think Louisville has played anybody. Georgia Tech played Florida State in the beginning, but now does it really mean anything? Yeah, they beat Uglia Buglia. Like, yeah, so what? Who hasn't? This is a game that I tend to stay away from because I'm scared of Louisville, but I know how good Georgia Tech is, so I really can't really play either unless I look for an over-under. I don't know how good Louisville's defense is. It's a 7, but I think Georgia Tech, they'll find a way to score, so we'll see. Auburn, Arkansas. Auburn, 358. I'm a little surprised Auburn's favored. 22 defense for Arkansas, 14 for Auburn. They lost to Cal 21-14, who's not that strong of a team, so we'll see there. Duke, 14.5, 52. 14.5, 52 to Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee has the Z team, a 42 defense. Jesus Christ. I think they played a big boy, though. Duke is an under team with a 15 defense. So that's a hard one. Duke really doesn't have the strength to blow them out, I don't think. But maybe Middle Tennessee's so bad. Here's our game of the second game of the week. My Utah goes against Oak State. Utah's 2.5, 52, 11 defense. Oak State with a 20 defense and no Cam Rising. He's out already. He's already listed as out. So hopefully he won't miss too many games because it's really killing us. Here, this would be an easy bet, Utah, but I can't. Oak State, very live home dog. Utah, great defense. Oak State, 20 defense. And again, without Rising, it's going to be hard for Utah. I think Oak State gets up for this game. This should be a real good game. Without Rising, it's just not the same Utah team. Missouri, 21-53 to Vanderbilt. We can get revenge on Vanderbilt for losing us money last week. Vandy with the 21 defense, Missouri with the 7. So we look at Vanderbilt. They fucking lost to Georgia State 36-32. What do you think Missouri's going to do to them? Missouri is a much better offense than Georgia State. We're laying 21, 53, strong defense. This is a tough game. It's Missouri should win the game. It's just by how many, or do we go over. I mean, you can only play it over, I guess, but we'll see. TCU SMU, which should have been a good game, but SMU's playing like shit lately. TCU 2.5, 21 defense. SMU 16 defense, 2.5, 51.5. Colorado State 9.5, 50. They're both Z teams against UTEP. Both teams with 32 defenses, pretty fucked up. And this 50, so 9.5, 50. But you don't have the offenses to get to 50, even though the defenses couldn't stop a high school team. So, that this is where it's hard. The team with no offense and no defense comes in. Are you going to get a lot of points? Sometimes you do. This could be, but they're both so bad. Liberty 754 to East Carolina. Liberty's the A team, good quarterback. ECU, East Carolina, I don't know. They got a good win last week. They are a B team, a 12 defense. Liberty a 20 defense, 7-54. Liberty at home, I think you probably want to play, but hard to say. L-Tech playing Tulsa. L-Tech 3.5, 57. I get L-Tech as an E team. Tulsa with a 33 defense. L-Tech with a 24. L-Tech, they're a passing team, 278 yards total offense a game, and Tulsa 418. So you got a favorite who doesn't get 300 yards of offense. I don't know. That's kind of one of those. Let's wait and see. Now, Washington, Northwestern. Washington loses the apple cart to Washington State. Northwestern's got 10 guys injured, out. Really crazy. Northwestern under team with a 13 defense. Washington with a B team with a 12 defense. 40. It's 10.5, 43. I just don't know how good Washington is. I mean, they beat like nobody, like 30-9, and then barely score against Washington State. What was that score? It was 24-19 Washington State. So, don't know. A lot of injuries to Northwestern, though. North Texas, here's your game, Todd. North Texas over with Wyoming. North Texas 955.5. North Texas with the 41 defense, Wyoming with the 33 defense. Here's the fly in your ointment, Todd. You've got Wyoming who gets 190 yards a game. And North Texas gets 440. So 955.5. So you go over 49.5. What are you going to get from Wyoming in this game? However, Wyoming is a 33 defense. North Texas is a 41. They just played Texas Tech, and they played another really high-scoring team and played another 100. But I don't see this game going – well, it could go over 49, but I'm not sure I see Wyoming doing much of anything. What did they do last week? BYU beat them 34-14, and BYU's got a fairly good defense. They don't have much of an offense. So they gave up 34. I can see North Texas scoring on them. I'm not sure I get the points I need from Wyoming. So, that's my point of view. So 41 and a 33. So if Wyoming had a good offense, then yeah, this is a beautiful over like it was last week with North Texas, Texas Tech. But Wyoming doesn't give you the points that you need. UConn, Florida Atlantic. UConn 2.5, 47. UConn 31 defense. Florida Atlantic a 20 defense. I got Florida Atlantic favored in this game. Connecticut's more of an over team. 31 defense. Florida Atlantic with the 20. So 2.5, 47 here. I like Florida Atlantic because I think it's a very live dog here. We will see, but they're not much of an offense, so it's a toughie. Sam Houston 16.5, 44 to New Mexico State. New Mexico State's a Z team. 31 defense. Sam Houston with the 24 defense. Look for New Mexico with 219 offense. Sam Houston should win the game. They've been playing much better ball lately. Sam Houston. The guy names the college after himself. So weak defense for New Mexico. Wow, they're a Z team. Weak defense, weak offense. It's a big spread, but I don't know if it's too big for Sam Houston. Toledo against Western Kentucky. We know how explosive Western Kentucky. I didn't lock them last week, but I had them in 3 teasers that laying 1 was a joke. Western Kentucky, an over team, 28 defense. Toledo, I got an 8 team with a 16 defense and so it's 2.5, 60. And again, we talked about the Toledo game. They beat New Mexico. They beat Old Mississippi State 41-17. Are you kidding me? And Mississippi State had a 19 defense, which apparently was against high school teams. Yeah, this should be a good game. Miami gets South Florida. Interesting. That was a big play for me last week. South Florida, they won by 25 over Southern Miss, who sucks. This is going to be interesting. Miami's 16.5, 65. They've been scoring a ton of points. South Florida is a very good offense. Miami with a 9 defense and South Florida with a 23. So how good is Miami's defense? Have they beat Florida, but they've been scoring a ton. I don't see how they're going to shut South Florida out. I'd be shocked there. So Miami with a 9 defense, South Florida 23. Over under 65. Should be. I'm curious how South Florida does in this game. Maybe my guy will come back. What's his name? Flowers will come back and quarterback. Cal, Florida State. I got Florida State. Somehow they're favored by 2.5, 44.5. You got to like Cal here. Florida State with a 24 defense. Cal with a 12. Florida State with Oogly Boogly gets 274 a game. The fuck? Cal 355. They went to Auburn and won. I honestly don't know how they're Florida State's favorite with Oogly, unless they aren't starting Oogly Boogly, which I haven't heard. If he's the starter, you got to like Cal here. Jesus. They don't score. They have no offense. A&M 23, 52.5. The bowling ball green. They come in their bowling balls in their bowling shoes. A&M 23, 52.5. Bowling Green does have a good offense, but I said that last week. And no, that was Ball State. What did the Bowlers do last week? Bowling Green. How do you name your college Bowling Green? I don't see him last week. The Bowlers must have been off practicing. Trying to get their spear shots down. The 7-10s. No, I don't see him. Okay. I got him as an over team, 25 defense, and Texas A&M took care of business against Florida. This is why you don't play money line. These 2, 3, 4-point games. Why would you think of playing a money line? Just don't outguess yourself. Play what you think. You think they're going to win, just play them. They won by 20. So this would be an interesting game here. A&M with the 17 defense I got as an A team, and Bowling Green 25. Haven't played the Ohio States or the Alabamas, so we'll see. Great game, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Tennessee, their quarterback was a volleyball player who's playing quarterback now. Looks just like a real good athlete, but he can actually throw the ball. Tennessee is they're both A teams. Tennessee 757.5. Tennessee with a 4 defense, and they did kill North Carolina State. and Oklahoma with an 11 defense, and they had trouble with Houston 16-12. I don't know how good Tennessee's defense is, but I know how good their offense is. Oklahoma's getting 320 a game, and Tennessee's 569 a game on offense. I had Oklahoma 7-point favorites because they were at home. Obviously, that doesn't mean anything in this game. Tennessee -7. Now, Tennessee blowing out these teams at home. Really made a whole different game in Oklahoma. They're not a home dog too often. Now, their quarterback play is very weak. I don't know. It's a tough one to just lay into, and you're neutralized over under because you have a very strong offense in Tennessee and a very, very strong defense in Oklahoma, who doesn't have an offense. So, very good game. Hard to figure. Iowa 2.5, 36. A lot of injuries on Minnesota. Iowa, the typical. It's Iowa. The over under will be 36. Minnesota showed a good defense against North Carolina. Iowa showed a good defense against Iowa State and a kind of shaky defense last week against fucking Troy. So we did get the win, but they're they're giving up a lot of points. I don't think there'll be a lot of points in this game. Minnesota's got a good defense, and their quarterback, not so good. I would have liked Iowa as the dog. I don't like him as the favorite here. South Carolina, 27.5, 46.5. Played a good game against LSU. Started to score. Akron, the Z team, got killed by Ohio State, 82-0. 27.5, 46.5. Neither team really has a good offense. South Carolina's got a big running quarterback. Reminds me of Cam Newton, although he can't throw the ball that well. But he made a big run on LSU. They were way up on LSU. So look for them to score. You're only laying 27.5. See, here's the difference. Ohio State, you're laying 50, and Penn State, you're laying 50. Here you got this similar scenario, very good defense against the Z team, but you're only laying 27. Food for thought here. 40 defense for Akron and 20 defense for South Carolina. How explosive South Carolina. But they put 34 up on LSU, who's not that bad. I mean, they're a lot better than Akron. Ole Miss gets Georgia Southern. Ole Miss only laying 36 here with a over-under of 66. Georgia Southern is an over team with the 29 defense, but so is Wake Forest, and they didn't score. Ole Miss with a 3 defense. They average 648 yards a game, Ole Miss. What the fuck's going on there? But it's their defense. They play some decent team. Wake Forest, regular team, and they just shut them down. I don't know. I don't know how you lay 30 in the game, over under 66. I don't know what you do with this one. Because Wake was a over team and didn't do anything. BC and Michigan State. Michigan State's got some injuries. BC 7-46. They did beat Florida State, and they played really well at Missouri. Michigan State played really well at Maryland. So this is 2 pretty good teams. So think of it as BC against Oregon State, because basically it's the Oregon State philosophy. 7-46. Both teams get about 400 yards of offense. Michigan State with an 11 defense, BC with a 13. So they played well against Missouri. Got to respect that. Michigan State beating Maryland. I don't know, but at the end, BC had trouble. Michigan State, their quarterback's kind of weak. He's more of a running, and he's young. We'll see. This should tell us a lot there. I'm not sure what to do with it. Colorado, the Primes, 1.5, 53 over Baylor. I'm not sure I like that. Colorado with a 21 defense, Baylor with a 10. Here's the problem with Colorado. Against a good offense, we know Colorado State didn't. We know Baylor has one. They got Finn, the quarterback who was at Toledo, is now at Baylor. They had a tough game with Utah. They'll blitz prime a lot, 10 defense. This is the problem with Colorado. You know they're going to score. You know they don't have a defense. And the running backs, Hayden is, I think, doubtful. And Prime, the third, is out. And the two-way player got injured last week. He'll probably play, but he hurt himself. I don't know. Baylor, I think they're a live dog here. I had Baylor -7. I don't get Colorado being favored. They're an E team and Baylor's a B team. And the 10 defense I like. So I'd be very careful playing prime time this week. Texas against Lou Monroe. I don't know about Urs. Is he out? And then is Arch Manning starting? He looks okay, but they're laying 45 over under a 52.5 to Lou Monroe. And I got Lou Monroe as an 18. They got a 10 defense, but that's not against teams like Texas. Texas with the 6 defense, and again, having crushed Michigan. It's funny, Lou Monroe only gets 300 yards of offense, and somehow they're an A because they beat a high school team. I don't know. Arch Manning's going to lay 45. I don't know what you do with these big 50-point spreads. But the over-under is 52. So we're not expecting anything from Lou Monroe. Fresno State, 15, 61.5 to New Mexico. New Mexico is an over team, not a Z team. 47 defense. Holy shit. Fresno State with a 20. Mikey Keene. Over under 61.5. And it's at New Mexico. Yeah. Oregon State, Purdue with a ton of injuries. Oregon State 5-50. Purdue with a 33 defense, which is really, you can't even look at. It's really the Notre Dame game because they played a high school team. So they played one game, gave up 60 points. I'm not going to give them a 66 defense, but I don't buy the 33 either. Oregon State with the 21 defense really had a tough time against Oregon. Oregon just lit them up. What do you do with this one? Purdue. Houston Cards okay from Texas, but at Oregon State after getting killed by Notre Dame, they both got killed last week. So I don't know, but a lot of injuries to Purdue. And K-State, last but not least, 7 and 47.5 to BYU. Both have as A teams. Kansas State's very good. Good running team. A 13 defense against the 14 defense for BYU. This will be interesting because I think K-State is the better team, but the game's at BYU. You got to be careful with that. So that is our college football look. We'll go through injuries yesterday because you really don't get much of a update on the injuries till about Wednesday or Thursday. Let's see, Real D. Todd, that Wyoming is terrible this year. Love those Z teams. Penn State struggled with Bowling Green. Penn State didn't cover. Yeah, okay, there you go. I knew Bowling Green was okay. So what was the Bowling Green game? The Bowling Ball. They're playing A&M. I got them as an over team, 25. A&M's more of a running team, so they're going to run it down their throat, 23. So it's do you take the 29 or do you? It's hard to go over against the running team, although they scored 33 with Florida. What was that score? A&M won 33-20, 53. So you can probably get a similar score like that here. Over under is 52.5. Just happens to be. They did well at Penn State, so I could see this. Bowling Green's not a bad team, right? A&M, they're okay. They're not great. And then you've got a 23. So there's no way you can take A&M here. which leaves you with either Bowling Green and 29, or do you go over, but worry about A&M's running the clock all day? That's the things you gotta worry about. Anyway, so that's college football. Well, that's why you do it, Todd. That's why you grade the team. See, that's the key to it. Is if you just look at the game, how do you know who to bet? Here's Bowling Green. They're not a Z team, but Akron is, as is the other MAC Z teams. Kent State, they're terrible. They barely score and they give up 4. Kent State gives up 50 a game. But you need to know that, right? That's how you analyze the game. It's really about the defense. I got a 50 defense and I got Penn State. I think I'm probably going to score 50 points. But you get like Oak State and Utah. Utah's got an 11 defense. Oak State's not going to go wild on Utah. I guarantee you that. And Oak State's got a 20, or Missouri's got a 7 defense. So you're not going to as good as BC played. Now you go, wow, BC must be pretty good to light up Missouri. Missouri came back to win. It was funny how I hesitated. It was 14.5 Missouri. I love Missouri. And I'm like, 8.5, though. Get it under 7. So I don't bet the game, and Missouri wins 27-21. And I'm watching the score, and BC scoring on them. I'm like, what? What's going on here? So I would think Missouri against Vanderbilt, they'll be more focused. You can't play your A game every week. That's why we looked for Cincinnati off of 2 losses. That's why we look for backs against the wall. That's why we look for, certain off of a loss, revenge. We're looking at like we got revenge, Georgia, Alabama next week. We got revenge game city with Georgia. Now they look bad against Kentucky, but who else looked bad? Oh yeah, Cincinnati looked bad against New England. Yeah, but they showed up again. And then is New England really that bad, or are they a very good defensive team? Granted, Cincinnati looked pretty bad, but again, New England's not a Z team, right? So that's what you're looking for. Unfortunately, Carolina's taking Bryce Young away, so we lose our Z team because Andy Dalton's a lot better. They still have a terrible defense. But that's what you're looking for, is reasons to pick the teams. Why am I playing the game? Oh, it's revenge. Oh, they're off of a loss. It's just not. They're playing a 35 defense, and they got a good quarterback. You just got to be careful with the Z team against a weak team. That's what I kind of stay away from, because the weak team doesn't have the offense to light them up. So, that's why I liked Western Kentucky last week, laying the 7 down to 1 against a weak, who was that? It was Middle Tennessee, who was a Z team. And they win the game 49-21 against a team with the 39 defense, Middle Tennessee. That's what you're looking for when you get that strong offense against the Z team. I knew they were going to light them up like South Florida did. I thought Vanderbilt will do the same. And again, that's struggling as Georgia State. I thought Georgia Southern was the good one. That in the beginning was, but Georgia State found an offense or made a change or got comfortable. And that's where you misread, even though it's a Z team. Are they really a Z team? I struggle with these teams that play Ohio State and Alabama. Like Western Kentucky loses 34-0 to Alabama, and you're like, oh fuck. And then they play a high school team, and now here they get like last week, Middle Tennessee. They finally get a team they can handle, and then they blow them out, because you have to be stoic and know that Western Kentucky is a good team. They got a good quarterback. They always do. They're always a good team. Sort of like Northern Illinois. I trusted that you don't get 700 yards of offense and not be a good team. So, that's what you're looking at. Houston's getting better. Oklahoma, their quarterback's not very good. So they're struggling, but their defense, Tennessee, we got to see. So these are the games okay, let's see how Tennessee does at Oklahoma. Maybe you bet Tennessee down to 1. I don't think you can bet the over. But look at Alabama, Wisconsin. I had the under. I won it by 2 or 3. think it was 56, and the score was 52. But Alabama opened it up on them, which now Van Dyke got hurt, but against Wisconsin, which should have a really good defense. So this is the problem, doing that. So you're really, Georgia, we pretty much know, and some of the Oregon, yeah, we saw them I saw them last week, and I go, yeah, this is going to be a great game. Oregon, Ohio State, probably a good over. Both teams can light it up, but that's what you're looking at. Texas, although I don't know how long Ewers is out for. Cam Rising, we're waiting to come back. See, the quarterback's key because he gives you an offense which rests your defense. So you got to be careful to Z. But the problem I had last week was there's so many games. I didn't play Colorado, which I like bitching at myself, and I didn't play Fresno State, which I knew was going to kill. And I said, well, I got so many games. How can I play them? And yet these should have been played over a couple of the other ones. Of course, the losers, right? But the Baltimore game and the pros, I would have played that again. Now they would win the game 9 out of 10, but off of a loss, I'm shocked they lost. Now off of 2 losses, I'll be, but are they that good? Lamar's terrible. Again, Lamar blows a big lead. I know he's done that several times where you go into the fourth quarter and then he's just trying to maintain. So he's not Lamar anymore. He's just, we got to run the ball, run the clock. And he doesn't keep getting first downs. And then the team gets the momentum. They're coming back. And then he has to pass and he can't because they're blitzing him and he falls apart. And that's the difference between Lamar and Mahomes and Joe Burrow. So we got Joe Burrow back. We got Aaron Rodgers back, which is crucial. Andy Dalton will make a big difference in Carolina, but we're not sure at this point how bad their defense is. But, they can win with Andy Dalton. Now, we can see that. What's the coach got his head up his ass for? Why did it take him so long to change? Well, he's the number 1 pick. Yeah, so you fucked up on the number 1 pick. We all know this. He wasn't that good at Alabama, Bryce Young. I think he won a Heisman 2 years ago. His senior year, he sucked, just like Caleb. Caleb's senior year, he sucked. They won like 4 games. They got buried by all the good UCLA, Notre Dame, all those teams. So what are we seeing? You just fucked up the Caleb draft pick. Well, what did we see? Penix light up Oregon and Bo Nix and Daniel. Those are the guys that you should have. They got better. That's who you go after. Atlanta will get tired of losing, and they'll switch to Penix, and then they'll start winning because he's a very good quarterback. But these guys can't see it. Lamar's an athlete. Yeah, but he's not a quarterback. Neither is Richardson. Malik Willis, I don't know. You just go down the list. The only one that seems good is Kyler Murray, but he's a good quarterback. He can throw the ball good, but he is a runner too, or Josh Allen. They can throw the ball. Lamar can't. He's not a quarterback, and you need a quarterback because you got all these $1 million receivers. What's Miami going to do? They got Tyreek Hill and nobody to throw him the ball if you even play the guy, and then you got Waddle, but you have no quarterback because you're an idiot. Because this is his 3rd concussion for Tag, and he's not very good anyway. Oh, the big game against Buffalo. Well, we're going to lose that one by 30 points. So he's not a winner, Tag. He didn't win at Alabama in the big games. He didn't show up. I want Joe Burrow. I don't want Tag. Joe Burrow beat him. That's what you're looking for. So I keep looking for good quarterbacks. Illinois looks good. Nebraska, we pointed out, their quarterback's good. That's what you're looking. That's the key. Nebraska sucked. They didn't have a quarterback. That was the problem with Scott Frost. His quarterback sucked, and he kept him for 4 years, and he lost 4 years because he had no quarterback. How can Scott Frost not see that Martinez guy who sucked? Now they got a good Raiola. It was the Georgia draft, and he said he'd go back to Nebraska where his dad played. He's a good quarterback. If Georgia recruits you, he's a good quarterback. But that's the key to the team. And then these real strong defenses, the Iowas, Illinois this year, Nebraska this year, Indiana looks very strong, but the spreads won't be correct on these teams. Vegas can't adjust to them. So, like in the Illinois Nebraska, Nebraska's 9-44. Are you kidding me? How is Nebraska 9 over this Illinois team that beat Kansas, that has a killer defense and a good quarterback, and Humpty Dumpty is their coach? So, that spread seems high, and the total of 44 with these defenses, yeah, good luck getting over 44 in this game. Todd was at the sports book. Watched the guy lay $1,000 on Missouri and Michigan parlay. And when did you stop laughing? Did he have the? You should have walked up to him. How about Western Kentucky and in Iowa, or the Iowa San Diego was my lock, and yeah, the other lock Georgia, but the over in the TCU game. So that was good. But yeah, I mean, do you talk to these people and go, I got a real good pick for you? I think Hartman is done, TK. Notre Dame ruined him. I don't know about that. Why? Did Washington cut him? I thought he was on Washington. He's not done. He's a good quarterback. But yeah, I mean, they don't like Hartman, and they like they like Caleb, and they like Young. I mean, this is the problem with these guys. They like the athlete at quarterback because they think he can run, but they miss the point. When you get inside the 20, the running's done because there's no room, and the fast receiver's done because there's no room. So unless you're going to hit Tyreek Hill on a crossing route, so you're at the 15, Tyreek Hill can run it, do a quick 5-yard crossing route, and can break tackles for a touchdown. But these fast guys, like the guy in the Lions, he's not breaking any tackles, and he can't do crossing routes. So he's a big liability inside the red zone. I mean, St. Cloud, the other guy's good, but you've got to understand there's the center of the field and then the 20-yard line. And in the 20, these passing teams have no chance. This is why scoring's down. You've got to score either from the 30 and in, or you must have a running attack. And this is the only way you can score in the NFL now. So, yeah. But I don't think Hartman's done. No, he's not done. So, like here, Michigan, so we can see Michigan's got quarterback problems, right? I think Orgy's going to start. Well, he can't throw. He's a runner, but now I can prepare for him. So it's the stupidest thing to say he's going to start. You just start him. You don't tell him, because now they're preparing for this running quarterback who's not that great of a runner. I think USC's got a strong defense. And if Michigan can blow out Arkansas State after getting blown out by Texas, they don't got a chance to get USC. Now, last year's USC, they would have. They could have blitzed Caleb and then ran it down their throats. But I think this defense is a whole lot better, and I don't think Michigan's coach is any good. You can tell right away. I mean, he's struggled against Texas. He's struggled against Fresno, and then he has a weak Arkansas State team, and he barely beats. And nobody appreciated that late touchdown to fuck the spread up. Todd, I mentioned your name, TK. These bettors don't know you. Well, give them, you don't have my card. Well, give them the website. That's the problem, is they don't know me, but you give them one of my winners, and then they start listening. I remember I was in Vegas a couple of years ago, and I was taking a taxi to the hotel from the airport, and the guy, do you bet football? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I'll give you a game. I gave him Bowling Green when Bowling Green was explosive against some Z team. I said, they're going to win like 55-0. And he looks at me, and Bowling Green won like 58-3. And all of a sudden I get a call from the guy, like, oh fuck, you know what you're doing. Like I nailed the score pretty much. And you say this team's going to win by 50, and they win by 50. And then he called me. I think he only bet with me once, but he did buy my picks. I guess assuming I was going to pick every game right. I don't understand that. I'm not Madoff. I cannot go 100%. You can see the logic. I give you the logic of what I'm doing. We're betting against the Z team, but every bet against the Z team doesn't win. Although we got to be careful who we're playing, and then the A versus A dogs, which normally win. So you got to understand the logic, but there's nothing 100% guaranteed. Look at the Miami Buffalo. I played it over. If Tag doesn't get the concussion and slides at the 5-yard line, they either score a touchdown or kick a field goal, or if the coach twice at the 10-yard line once kicks a field goal, we win, or Buffalo makes their field goal, we win. But again, Tay gets injured. It's the injury part of it that I don't think people are, oh, you lost. Yeah, but the quarterback got hurt. Like, wake up. So that's really the problem is you got to be careful if the quarterback gets hurt, So Joe Burrow, you hope he's healthy. Mahomes doesn't get hurt too much. And now Aaron Rodgers, he's played in 2 games. He's actually played 2 whole games. I'm so excited. Their defense isn't as strong as I think they will be. Now it comes week 3. I think you'll see a better what the Jets got. New England. I think New England's gonna have a hard time scoring, I think. But you got Aaron Rodgers, who should win you. Aaron Rodgers can win you. If the score is 14-13, you need points at the end. Aaron Rodgers is going to get it for you. Bryce Young's not. Brissett's not. You go down the list. Caleb's not. That's the problem with these scores. Lamar, fuck, all you needed was a field goal, Lamar, and you checked out with 15 minutes left in the game with a 10-point lead, and you didn't show up the rest of the game. That's the problem. Lamar can't get you that points. All he needed was 3 to tie to finish it. You're up 10. We're 3 and out punt, 3 and out punt, 3 and out punt. What the fuck is that? You wouldn't see Mahomes do that or Burrow. That's why you bet Mahomes and Burrow. He'll win you the game. He won you the game against Cincinnati. So that's what you're looking for. So you're dissecting certain different things. Anyway, so I had a no-show in class yesterday. I don't know how to take it. So we've had 4 or 5 classes, no emails, no communication, nothing. Like, what the fuck? So, he's in LA at 9:00. We're supposed to Zoom, no email, nothing. Like, what the fuck? Can't you I'm late. Can we reschedule something? Don't just leave me hanging. I'm too busy to make time for you, and then you don't give me an email that says I can't make it. And no, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, like I do with Daria, who was always working. Okay, I got that. She had good answers, but again, like, where's let me check now. I said, are you okay? Are we still doing class? Like, what the fuck? So let's check my email. But it's I had a bad enough day with PayPal. Yeah, nothing. No email yet. What is So I hope he's okay. But I'm not really. I don't want to get too frustrated. So I wasn't too happy, but I was kind of frustrated with PayPal. So I sent him 2 emails. What the fuck? And it doesn't don't act don't be immature and unprofessional with me. If you want me to teach you, then say, look, I can't make it today. Give me some notice because I'm taking time out that I got class at 9. So my night got a little shifted. So please don't, I don't mind if you don't want the class or you got to reschedule, just tell me. But don't pull this shit where nothing. I mean, that's just kind of rude, actually. Anyway, um, Todd, okay, you mentioned my name. Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't have a card, but just show them the website or something, or just say I got a guy that's good at picking games. Maybe he'll certainly keep you away from what was it, Michigan and what was the other one? Michigan, Missouri. Why Missouri? I like Missouri, but I stayed away from it. But we had better games to play. Anyway, um, what sports book are you at, Todd? Are you in Vegas, or I didn't think you were in Vegas, but yeah, like we got MGM here, but I don't run down to MGM. Now they're starting to charge for the seats. It's like seriously. I don't think so. So I don't really go down there, but it's not worth it. Maybe I should on a Saturday and just try to sell some picks, but I don't know. It was funny in Vegas. I was at the Venetian playing poker, and some guy recognized me from the video and from YouTube. And he says, "Can I buy your picks?" And he gave me $100 in poker chips worth of poker. He gives me $100, and I give him the picks. And it was a good week. I was like 9-2 or something. So, but some people only bet in Vegas. They won't bet at home. I only go to Vegas and I bet. So they take me for a week and that's it, which is unusual. But yeah, he should have been happy. We won a lot of games. But I like that. So people are looking at me like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I'm giving them my picks for $100, and that's it. But I haven't been in Vegas in a while. It's getting really ridiculous with these resort fees. So you think, oh, I'll stay, $100 a night room on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then it turns out to be, oh yeah, well with the resort fees, it's 160. You're going, fuck, why should I pay for the resort? What are the resort fees? Well, we give you free internet. Well, you're giving it to me anyway. Like, seriously, they're just getting very expensive there. The food's very expensive. And I'm used to Vegas where it's cheap hotel, cheap room, steak and shrimp for $3.99 at midnight and stuff like that. I'm used to old Vegas, so it's just hard to really get into going there. I've been there so many times. It's just hard to go there. You got to pay to watch at Caesars. Really? I mean, I remember going, you'd just sit down and I was there for that Alabama-Auburn kickoff game. That's I was rooting for Auburn in that game. Everybody's rooting for Alabama and crying, and I'm laughing my ass off. But yeah, I mean, it's just where are you going to go eat, and then it's very expensive, and then the like the hotels are expensive. So I don't know. And I don't know about all these immigrants, if they're there or not. We will see. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Anything else? I will on Thursday, TK, show your website at Iowa Caesars. Oh, yeah, you're right. I remember you're from Iowa. Yeah, so that's thank you. I appreciate that. Just tell them about me, but I do teasers. Maybe they don't understand that. Let's check our gold. Gold down to 25.64. Today's one of those. I think Tuesdays are more of these, and then on Wednesday you get the other. Everything goes up. So 25.64. So we have like a noon drop, 11 o'clock drop, and bounce back, bounce down, bounce up. So they're trying to cut it down, but again, we might get a little lower, but then everybody's going to buy. So the buyers are just waiting for this. Silver 30.62. That's what you get. So should be a good week. The free plays are very good. I can't see USC losing to Michigan. Michigan just doesn't now. They don't have a quarterback, and they're switching to another guy who's not. He's a runner. So I don't know what they're. I think they'll just try to run it, and they'll play Army Navy. Maybe we go under on that game. USC. It's 46. And if they go to that guy, maybe they realize we can't throw. We got to run to win. But I don't know how strong USC's defense is for that. We'll have to see. But I'd be surprised if Michigan wins this game. But we'll see. Anyway, that's what's going on. So getting ready for football. Economics, I'll try to do later. See, it's already 1:30. I got to go to the pool, and then I tend to do it a little later. But I still need time to study the football. So I finally have all the ratings. I pulled in the pros this morning after Monday Night Football. So I was able to, like I said, rate them A to Z and put the defenses in. And I'll make the pick. Cincinnati was just an obvious one off of 2 losses. They have to win. And they're playing Washington. It's just the perfect play. This happened to me once. Way back when Gretzky was on Edmonton, and I'm in Vegas, and they lost 4 or 5 in a row on the East Coast, and they go back home, and I go, well, if they play Vancouver, I'll bet on Edmonton. They were like the Z team. And sure as shit, I look up, and Edmonton's playing Vancouver, and I put like $1,000 on the game, and it won like 5-0 or something. That's when they had Messier and Gretzky, and to see them off of 4 or 5, but then they flew home and had a Z team. So that's the Z teams. You always got to find the Z teams and bet against them. The A teams will struggle. Cincinnati can lose to New England, but everybody's beating Carolina and the Giants and what we got in college. So that's really the key to winning is just really finding the A and Z teams and being careful of the good defenses, right? So Cincinnati lost to New England, but maybe New England's got a really good defense. We thought without Belichick, they're going to really struggle, but we were misled there. I mean, then Seattle was 20-20 overtime. So maybe they're not that bad. That's the problem. See, that's why you wait 3-4 weeks and you go, New England maybe isn't that bad. So, that's what you do. Or you just keep betting the Giants under they have no quarterback. Carolina, it was fun while it lasted. And we got to see what Andy Dalton's up to. Anyway, thanks very much. I hope any other questions, comments, please leave them. And again, if you do make a class with me, I am very happy to teach, but don't no-show me. Don't just don't disrespect. Don't either, hey, I can't make it, or we got to reschedule, or thank you very much, but that's it. And at least respond. Where's the guy? The guy hasn't responded. What the fuck? This is didn't email me yesterday. Didn't respond to the emails I sent. It's just strange. But I'm used to Darius, so maybe he's in the hospital. You gotta give him all time to do it. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. I'll be back with Econ later. It's 1:30. I'm gonna grab a little quick salad and then go swimming. So take care, everybody. Good luck this week, and off we go. All right. Take care, everybody. www.teaserking.com.